Thank you for coming. I think we'll just start now. My name is Rina Saeed Khan, and I'm the moderator for this session. And so before I start my introduction, I just want to clarify that Amerdeep's books are actually on the Sikh legacy in Pakistan. So the title that was given in the schedule is not accurate. It's not really the Sikh heritage after the Raj. It's actually a Sikh legacy in Pakistan. So let me introduce Amerdeep Singh, who says he is an accidental writer. Actually, he spent most of his life working for American Express, 25 years. He recently retired as, I think, the regional head of pricing and risk management. He's a naturalized citizen of Singapore. And then shortly after he left his job, he decided to visit Pakistan. And why? Well, both of Amerdeep's parents actually came from what would be present-day Pakistan. His father came from Muzaffarabad, his mother from Ahmedabad, and just before partition, his father moved to Gorakhpur in India. His mother had passed away when he was a little boy. Amerdeep decided he will visit his parents' birthplaces. He's been educated at the elite Noon School, and from a young age, he's been encouraged to be an explorer and rough it out in the mountains. So before I end up telling his entire story, I think let me ask you, Amerdeep, you're the only Sikh that we know who has traveled 226 cities and villages across Pakistan to document this book. What's been your motivation? Is this all the result of a midlife crisis?
Thank you, Rina. First and foremost, Salam Alaikum, Sat Sri Akal, and Namaste to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here in Lahore. Every time I come here, it feels like I'm back home in the energies that our forefathers have dissipated across the continents, but it's always being back at home. So thank you very much. Midlife crisis, probably yes, but I don't know what direction my life has taken on for the last 3.5 years. I guess your question might be more about, is this a midlife crisis leading to some form of motivation to do this, or what? I don't know.
Why did your travels start suddenly all across Pakistan?
Right.
How did you even get here?
Yeah, so mine is a very visual intensive presentation, so I'm going to take a few slides to answer that question. But you see, before I address that question, these are the two books that I've done, which is, you're seeing up there, each is 3 kg book, and now when I have to travel on the flight, these are like my passports. I'm always carrying 6 kgs with me, so 6 kgs less of clothes. You said probably I'm the only Sikh who's traveled 126 cities and villages across Pakistan. I say this proudly. I can start taking Pakistanis to more places than what they would have seen, right? So I feel proud about that. But you see, before I start, I want to make one thing very clear in this presentation. It's an outcome of a crisis that occurred 7 decades back, and I'm trying to simply study that. And before I start that, we need to set the baseline of our understanding. I have chosen the subject of studying the remnants of the Sikh legacy across Pakistan. But the same can be done for Muslim legacy in East Punjab. It can be done for the Hindu legacy. It can be done for the Jain legacy. The crisis of 1947 not only affected all the religious communities, it also affected what I call there is the last word, the atheists, right? Even the non-believers got affected by it, right? So the Punjabi couplet which describes this best, and I would want to set that as a baseline of my presentation. Inna akha di lali pe dasdi hai, roye tusi vi ho, roye asi vi hai. Right? So let's start with that as a baseline, because I'm not here to, dig old graves. I'm here to kind of tell us what is there, what was the past, and how to move forward. I think that's the intention. You asked me about my motivation, and for good 25 years when I was in the corporate world, I actually maintained my attachment in some form or the other with my roots in the form of trying to delve into the books on history, culture, religion, not just about Sikhism, Sufism, Islam, uh, you know, I've delved into many things, Vedanta, Buddhism, but it's made who I am today. Uh, but the one question that would always bother me when I would actually talk to the younger generation of the Sikh community around the world, and if you ask them, if you had a free access to go to Pakistan, where would you want to go? The answer would bother me. The answer would say they can't think beyond Nankana Sahib and Panja Sahib, right? So the other thing is that, I was the other day in Pakistan and someone asked me this question, you've written 2 books, what are they about? And I said, Sikh legacy in Pakistan. He says, Sikhon ki tarikh thi kya Pakistan mein? That answers the question, right? So we are 7 decades down the line at a place where our memories are erased, a legacy is reduced to a realm of religion. And that would bother me because either the historical books, history books are not telling me the right thing, either the narratives of my forefathers are not telling the right thing, or something's really dramatically gone wrong, right? So the slide that I've shown here, what I'm showing is I've taken India and Pakistan, and on that I've overlaid the yellow section, which I don't call it a Sikh kingdom. The British called it in their narratives as a Sikh kingdom. It was a Punjabi kingdom. Because Lahore Darbar was a very pluralistic divan, in which 50% of the army comprised of Muslims. The highest positions in the Darbar were with the Muslims. The foreign minister was a Muslim. The Tosha Khana, the keys of that was with a Muslim. There were Hindu ministers, there were Sikh generals, there were French generals, there were Gurkha generals. It was a very pluralistic Darbar, irrespective of what the history might tell us today. If you take that empire and overlay it on the map of today's India and Pakistan, what comes out very clearly is that 80% of that territory is in Pakistan today. Now that's in 1849 when the Sikh Empire or the Punjabi Empire collapsed after the 1849 Second Anglo-Sikh War. So the question that one needs to ask is that were my forefathers so incompetent that they could only make Nankana Sahib and Panja Sahib? That's the question, right? So taking this point further, at Mansehra, when I visited this grave, on that grave is written in Urdu, Ghulam Sarwar Wald Makhan Singh. I don't need to describe anything else, you know it, right? That's a part of my legacy. What happened to Ghulam Sarwar? The fact is he is the son, he's a Muslim, but a son of a Sikh. I can't disengage that fact. So these legacy aspects are not religion. But today the entire community, the entire world is only thinking about Nankana Sahib, Panja Sahib. I come to Lahore, in fact, just a short while back, and I didn't answer that question. I was asked, have you been to Nankana Sahib? I just smiled and I said, I choose not to answer that question because I'm not here on a religious pursuit. Religion is a part of the pursuit, but my pursuit is much bigger than that, right? And why I got motivated to do this is my journey to Muzaffarabad, my father's place, which is in Kashmir. I had been told the narratives. They moved to Gorakhpur in UP, and they did not forget, and he could never come back to this land. But he used to fondly remember the good time that he had spent in Muzaffarabad, and he used to say, "Aaj Muzaffarabad di yaad aa rahi hai." He used to say that many times, right? And I just wanted to, he's no more in this world, and I thought I owed this to him because when I left my corporate career after 25 years, because of certain personal reasons, I could have easily gone back. I just thought I need to make a visit to Pakistan just because I owe this to my father to go to this place, Muzaffarabad. And that was all that was attracting me. And I landed in Lahore, not realizing that there was some divine energy that was going to steer me towards a direction that changed my life. This was 2014, and I landed here simply with a 1-month visa. And my journey started from Dera Sahib, opposite the fort. I remember I landed in the evening, and I started meeting such great people with similar interests, and the journey started one after the other. And I went back to Singapore after 30 days, and I realized in 30 days I'd been to 36 cities and villages. it's when I did that, I came back to Singapore and I thought, you know what, I had read these beautiful travelogues of, uh, of the British who actually had come to the Punjab when it was being managed by Ranjit Singh. And there are many travelogues written. Some of them are the travels of William Moorcroft, travels of Alexander Burns. They're fascinating travelogues. And, and I just thought, you know, we as the people of the subcontinent don't like to actually document our history, don't know how to do it, and we have to therefore depend on others to tell our history, right? So I just thought that if they could write these travelogues without any visuals, with just 2 or 3 sketches, I had tons of pictures, and I thought the story needed to be told to the world, and that's what motivated me to do this first book. I, I did a second book, for which we are out here. So if you allow me just a few more minutes, and I can talk about that. I did this book and I published it in Jan 2016. I didn't realize that the world was waiting for it. And that's the potential that Pakistan has, because I can tell you, it didn't allow me to go back to the corporate world. In about 8 months, I had spoken at about 74 seminars around the world. And it became my being. I just couldn't go back to the corporate world. People in Canada, US, India, even in Pakistan, but all over the world, they wanted to hear about the subject. It's a legacy that's not been talked about visually. Uh, but then, you know, it's like giving birth to a baby. I'd given birth to a baby. I thought it's grown its legs. I need to move on. So I went back to the corporate world. But, you know, कहते हैं शेर के खून में मुंह लग जाता है, मुंह में खून लग जाता है. So, you know, my mind was not in that realm, and I was always thinking, there's so much more left, and one needs to do that. To cut the long story short, in December 2016, I got an invitation from Pakistan High Commission in Singapore, inviting me into Islamabad for attending a Pakistan Academy of Letters conference. And the simple reason they said is, we thought that you've done a decent work and you've communicated the message to the world in a manner that is trying to bring the people together, and we want to invite you there. And I simply asked the Pakistan government, sir, if you think I've done something good, I have an unfinished agenda. And the unfinished agenda is that I went right up to Jamrod, and I could not get inside the Jamrod and the Atak fort because they are with the Pakistan army. And I want to step inside them because history of my community churned in these forts, in the frontier lands. Rest is history. I landed in Pakistan and I had this vision of this picture I used to see in a book called Highlands of India by J.W.F. Newall, published somewhere in the 1880s, of a travel that he made in the region, in the western region along the river Indus, where he mapped the various forts from the Sikh empire that had just collapsed in 1849. And Sikhs had about 27 forts along the Indus. How many my community remembers? Not more than Atak or Jamrod. That's the impact. I landed here, and rest is history. I did not go back, and I'd spent good about 50 plus days in the country. And what came out is the second book, which is here, which is The Quest Continues, Lost Heritage of Sikh Legacy in Pakistan. I think that's the long answer to your short question of motivation.
Thank you. And this is such visually intensive work. It really draws the reader into the story. So can you tell us like 1 or 2 stories, your favorite stories from these books? I'm sure there must have been hundreds.
I mean, the entire, it's a safarnama, you know. The way I'm writing is, I'm walking the streets, whom I'm meeting, what am I interacting, that's in the present context. And with visuals, I'm telling you the story. But then as I find something tangible or intangible, there are communities living here who still believe in the faith. They may not appear to you as a Sikh, but I tell you, my estimate is about 2 million plus believers of Nanak, whom we simply say Hindus in Sindh and Balochistan. They're all nothing less than a Sikh, because they believe in the Granth Sahib. That's the positive story of Pakistan that needs to be portrayed to the world. And as I walk the streets, there are umpteen number of stories I can go on, but I'll probably just take 2 stories of that and tell you. So I was near Rawalpindi in a place called Sagri, and I went to this small village, and it was predominantly a Sikh village in the Potwaha region. And I went in there, and I was in the remains of these gurdwaras, and you could see on the bottom, on the farsh, on the pillars, the inscriptions in Urdu and in Gurmukhi. And I'm looking at that, and this person called Azmat, he's an aged man, he walks in, and he says, Salam Sahab, and he says, Satyakal, and I said Salam to him. And we started talking. And he says, you know what, this Gurdwara was operational as a medical center for good about 30 odd years after partition. I said, that's great. I mean, an asset being used for the benefit of the community, what else can be better, right? So, but then I asked him, Azmat ji, ye bataएं ये बीच में जो आपकी ये, sorry, okay, ये जो बीच में जो आपकी जो दो pillars के बीच में जो फर्श है, why is that dug? So normally in a Gurdwara you have a raised platform, what we call as Thada Sahib. And you know, in Sikhism you don't have idol worship, so we have the Granth just like you all read the Quran, we read the Granth Sahib. And it's in the center of the platform normally, it's kept, and then people sit on the floor to read the recitations and sing the verses. But it was clearly dug in this one, sorry. And so I asked him why it's been dug. So he says, you know, and I'm going to keep it in English, but best it comes out in Punjabi, but I'm going to keep it in English because I see some probably people who can't.
No,
okay, all right, okay. So he says, Sardaar ji, is tarah hai, kuch maadi buddhi de bande aa gaye, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਇਹਦੇ ਥੱਲੇ ਕੋਈ ਖਜ਼ਾਨਾ ਦਬਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ, right? So he said, you know, some small minded people came here thinking there is some wealth dug inside, has been hidden by the Sikhs under this platform, right? So I just smiled. I said, iske niche to kuch nahi ho sakta, there can be nothing inside under this. He says, yes, but they came and they leased out the property from the government and they started digging. And then when we realized that, we as the villagers, and this is the positivity, they walked in and they said, we took the appeal and pushed them out of the village and locked the Gurdwara because it's our village's property. But yet the Gurdwara's in 7 decades not been maintained because they don't have the money to maintain it, right? But as we were talking, what I want to tell you is the very interesting thing is what he told me. He says, we started using many years back after the medical center left, this hall as a community hall, right? So we used to have weddings inside this hall. And he says, I remember as a kid, once I was sitting on the floor and this kawal had come, and he was singing this kawali, कहते हैं जिसके words थे, कहते हैं एक नशा चढ़ा और उतर गया, एक नशा चढ़ा और उतर गया, ले संभाल अपनी इमारतें, मेरे सर से कर्जा उतर गया. He had said a lot in these few words. What he said was basically, the bout of intoxication has subsided now. Come reclaim your monuments, you know, and take care of them because the bout of intoxication is gone. I thought that was a very, very powerful message that he gave. And the other story that I want to say again, this is
Can you repeat it one more time? I think.
Okay. It was basically, एक नशा चढ़ा और उतर गया, एक नशा चढ़ा और उतर गया, ले संभाल अपनी इमारतें, मेरे सर से कर्जा उतर गया.
Beautiful.
Yeah. The other place is, you know, along the Indus, there's a place called Fort Fateh Khan, Fateh Jang, right? And you go there, there's this abandoned Gurdwara lying there. There's a small, so inside the Gurdwara, there are beautiful frescoes, and you study those frescoes, they talk about the syncretic Punjabi culture that used to exist out there. I see Muslims in those frescoes, I see Hindus, I see Sikhs inside those frescoes. I see Guru Nanak, at the same time I see many more syncretic forms that tell what Punjabiyat used to be, right? But what I want to tell about here is another story, because wherever strangely I would go, someone would pop up, right? Someone has to pop up to tell me a story. And here pops up another old man, and we start talking. And he says, Sardaar, you know, from this monument, anyone who picks up anything, it's come to be assumed that some bad omen will strike him, right? And he shows the sandalwood gates lying on the floor. He says these gates have been removed from here on 2 occasions before. And recently someone had removed it, stolen it, and some bad omen fell on him, and he's come and put it back, right? So I had no comments on that. But what's the beauty is that he says is that every Friday, the villagers yet come and light a lamp inside the Gurdwara. To me, I thought that was a great thing. But then what I want to talk about is that I saw on the walls, there were these Gurmukhi inscriptions, and under that, some places, they had been blackened. Gurmukhi inscriptions with Urdu inscriptions below that. And now I can read the Gurmukhi. I can also read a bit of Urdu, but all the Urdu inscriptions have been blackened. So I asked him why have these Urdu inscriptions been blackened. He says, Sardaar ji, moti buddhi. Sorry I'm saying, but this is what he said, right? कहता बंदे सोचते ने कि ये हुन चला गया, ये गुरुद्वारा सीगा बाबा थान सिंह दा. कहते ये बाबा थान सिंह नहीं रहा, ये साडा सुल्तान सिंह हो गया, right? So basically what he's saying is, people don't understand, but this was a Gurdwara of Baba Than Singh. So Sikhs with veneration would call their saints as Baba, right? And this is a Punjabi word. And he says, people now say, he's no more Baba Sultan Singh. He's been, Baba Than Singh, he's been claimed as Sultan Than Singh, giving it an Islamic flavor, right? So that I found very interesting. But I said, Janab, upar Gurmukhi se Baba likhya hoya hai. He says, chup kar jao ji. Onu bhi laka aa jayenge tala. So just be quiet, because if people come to know, they will even put black on that Gurmukhi where it's written as Baba Than Singh. So these are some of the stories that I just wanted to share.
So you work at an extremely rapid pace. I mean, it took me 10 years to produce one book, and yet you produce two books, and really huge books in just 4 years. So what has been your takeaway? What has been your own personal learning? What have you learned from your work, basically?
Well, I think I always say this, Pakistan has changed my thinking. And I thank Pakistan for that, because coming into this country, it has exposed me to those elements which I for years have not found to be a source of inspiration in East Punjab. Someone asked me this question that in Delhi I was speaking, and he says, Amerdeep, you've done such a great work, when are you going to do this for East Punjab? And I looked at him and I said, I'm not going to do it. And I was on stage, so he was taken aback, so I paused. Then he says, why? So I said, because what is there to photograph and write about in East Punjab when we have ourselves destroyed everything? What I mean to say is, when the Sikhs have gone into East Punjab, the entire fabric, because we lost everything and went there, then you try and actually reclaim and reposition your existence, and you have to actually prove yourself. In that, what has happened is we've materialistically destroyed our own heritage and marbled it and put it with white, with gold all over. There's nothing of anything of the past that motivates me to look at it and say, you know what, my forefathers used to think that way. Now, the situation is not great in Pakistan either, because at one end, you've got the heritage which has been reclaimed, and I thank the Pakistan government that in 1947 only Nankana Sahib was operational. Today, about 24 historical Gurdwaras are operational. Thank you. But it's all been whitewashed. It's not having elements of fresco. There's no right kind of mentality that's being put inside this to say this is our Pakistan's heritage. Let's restore it in the manner that these people left it as. That's one. The second thing is, whatever in the remotest area are the remnants of the monuments, they still tell me a story. It may be in a bad state. It was a human crisis. People came inside, they made them the homes, they stopped by, they got converted into schools, colleges, or whatever it be, but they are yet standing. In the remotest area, they're yet standing. No one's kind of broken them. And as time is going, they are fastly at the point of extinction now, getting to that point. But yet, the frescoes tell me great stories. So, to me, I've been able to learn a lot from there, which the monuments in East Punjab don't offer. So I'll share in a few slides what have I learned, right? And for me, the first thing is, the visits across Pakistan have taught me how actually the philosophies, the common syncretic philosophies have got divided. Baba Farid is mine. Baba Bulle Shah is mine, not just yours, right? It was the 5th Sikh Guru who gave place of the oral traditions of Baba Farid in the Granth Sahib, which I read daily, right? How can you divide him from me? Baba Nanak is yours. How can you divide him from you, right? Today, when I stand at a Gurdwara in Panja Sahib or in Nankana Sahib, and when the security people say, apna Sharnarthi card dikhaye, show your identity card, and my friend, he shows it and he says, aap Musalman hai, aap andar nahi ja sakte. Come on, give it a break. Is this what Nanak had aimed for? He was trying to bring us together. Today we are divided. That's one thing that I've learned out of this. You know what? I've stood at the Firozpur Ganda Singh Wala border. I'm standing at Ganda Singh Wala border and looking at Firozpur. And in Firozpur, there is a place of Baba Farid. I'm sure people from here would like to go there. As I'm standing at Ganda Singh Wala, which is a Sikh name of this village, and there's no Sikh out there. Our philosophies are divided here too, right? But yet, I found a beautiful, yet existing syncretic tradition in Pakistan, which, I say this openly, when we bring spirituality into the domains of religion and we tie it by boundaries, we lose a lot, right? That happens with every religion. There was a tradition in the Sikh past that Guru Nanak's best companion, I don't know how many of you know, was a Muslim called Bhai Mardana. He was a Rabab plucker. Wherever he traveled, he used to go with him, wherever in the world, right? And that tradition from the Rababis of Mardana, Bhai Mardana, had continued till 1947, that in the Sikh Gurdwaras, even in Harmandir Sahib in Golden Temple, the Muslims used to sing that tradition. Partition destroyed that tradition totally, right? At this Gurdwara in Dera Sahib, where unfortunately they don't allow everyone to go inside, this is the security people outside, not the Sikhs, right? We have this one family from the Bhai Mardana's tradition who are still coming in there, and I talked to them, and interestingly they said something very interesting. They said, देखो जी partition da ये होया कि असी अमृतसर सीगे गोविंदवाल साहब दे कोल. We used to go and perform the Kirtan singing in the Golden Temple and in Goindwal Sahib, and in that partition, because we were told by the Sikh community, we want to protect you, it's better right now you go to Lahore. No one thought that this was going to be a long-standing kind of a divide, right? So they came here, and he says, after that we never went back. And today, once in a week, they come to Dera Sahib Gurdwara and they still do the Kirtan as per the Sikh traditions. This is a Muslim family. But they tell me, look at it, there are no Sikhs out here to hear it. Right? That's the outcome. But that tradition is being maintained. But here, when I am standing at the Dera Sahib Gurdwara, I click this picture just to show what the commonality of our saints was in the Punjabi tradition to bring people together. Because there's a Sikh sitting at the Granth Sahib. There is a descendant of Bhai Mardana's family who's playing the tabla, Mohsin. There is a Muslim Tahir actually doing the Kirtan tradition, a young boy, and a Sindhi Hindu sitting there and doing the Kirtan. To me, this is where all the faiths come together, right? That's something which I learned here. I'm going to move forward in the interest of time. You know, culture, these are the remnants of some of the places. You know, these frescoes are Pakistan's heritage. Imagine if this can be saved, and tomorrow the visa regimes open up, each place has something to offer for the world, not just for the Sikh community, right? I will talk briefly about what I've learned about languages, right? You see, today, partition has resulted in the languages becoming, Urdu becoming a Muslim language, Gurmukhi becoming a Sikh language, Hindi becoming a Hindu language. It was not like that. The further towards the Indus you would go, I have found in the monuments, whether they're Gurdwaras, this is a picture from a Hindu temple in Hasro, and on the floor what I'm trying to show you is Gurmukhi written there. My father only knew Urdu and Gurmukhi, right? That was the tradition of this land. In a Hindu temple also you used to only find Urdu or Gurmukhi. But after partition, what's happened is the Punjabi Hindus who went that side, they amalgamated in the Hinduism stream, they've abandoned their association with Punjabi, spoken or written. That's gone. Sikhs who got dispersed into the Gangetic belt, my father used to tell me, I grew up as totally in confusion because I went to an elite school in India, in Doon school, where speaking in Hindi or speaking in Punjabi would be considered, you know, under your status, right? So we would only speak in English. And I would go back to UP where my father was, and on the train people only talk in Hindi or Bhojpuri. And I would go inside my homes and father would say, Punjabi bol, nahi to Punjabi bhi khatam ho jayegi. Right? And I grew up with this kind of a conflict with me. And then he used to tell me, station pe jaake Urdu ka paper leke aa. Go to the station and get the Urdu paper. But this is what we live with. And today when I look at it, we've dispersed. How many of us out here really know Punjabi? It's lost, getting lost here. Same happening in India. Urdu, it's become an Islamic language. A Hindu or Sikh barely touches it now. So I think that's one other aspect of partition that I've seen. You know, heritage, I want to talk about the maintained heritage that you're seeing is Ranjit Singh Samad. What you're seeing there, earlier I said it's all been painted white. You know, you go and peel that white paint and you'll find yet frescoes are there. That's not how heritage maintenance has to be. What you find here is what took me to Jamrod Fort on your right hand side is the room on top. And I requested the Pakistan Army in front out there in the Jamrod Fort, sir, don't let this room go away. You don't know the value of this room to the Sikh community. Because this was the last frontier, Jamrod was the last frontier that Hari Singh Nalwa built in 1830s, after which no invasions from the Central Asian side has happened through Khyber Pass even till date. And he died out here. Don't let this room go away, sir. Just maintain it, because if tomorrow, if the regime relaxes, Sikhs from around the world will come and pay dollars to see this place. I have gone inside, I've felt an energy inside it, right? So it needs to be saved as your heritage. I just want to quickly talk about one or two more slides and then bring this. This is the ironic thing. I was standing at Kila Jeevan Singh, looking on the other side of Sarai Amanat Khan, where there are 5 or 6 gurdwaras on the Indian side. I need to yet go to Sarai Amanat Khan and try and look at Kila Jeevan Singh from there. The names of the villages tell us what there are. There's so many villages, Nanak Singh, Kot Arjan Singh, Gajan Singh Wala across in Punjab, but yet cultures are existing, communities are existing, and they are doing well. There are some, this is Dr. Mimpal Singh in Lahore practicing. There's a major who's a Sikh right now. But I again say, you know what, we've got to think, and I appealed this even in Islamabad where I spoke. Look, the softer side of Pakistan would require the minorities be given a fast track. In 7 decades, one major, after 15 years of service, and only one person, if he's not made your role model and put up as a softer image, it probably will take 20 more years for another Sikh to get into the forces. By that time, we'll be at about 100 years. Right? So you've got to start thinking differently. I'm going to bring this learning piece to an end. I've said this earlier. 2 million people, believers of Nanak, exist in Pakistan. You are not aware of it because you call them as Hindus in Sindh and Balochistan. These people are scattered. What you think a Sikh is a turbaned person with a beard, the belief system is inside, right? And there are about 12 to 13,000 Sikhs who are predominantly Pashtun speaks who have migrated after the problems on the western side, and they've actually scattered all across Punjab now and all over Pakistan, but they're not Punjabi Sikhs, right? But anyhow, religion has nothing to do with the cultural aspect. But yet in Sindh and Balochistan, there's a large community that needs to be embraced. And I'm actually trying to, I've sat down with EPPV and I've actually tried to point out to their intangible culture and the stuff that you are not aware of in Shikarpur. There's so much of heritage lying there that needs to be brought to light. Now I'm going to stop there.
Thank you so much, Amerdeep. I've learned so much. I mean, at an earlier presentation, you spoke about Mia Mir. I didn't know that Mia Mir actually laid the foundation stone for the Golden Temple. He was invited. That's how it happened, right?
Yeah, Sai Mia Mir mausoleum is in Lahore. Here's another outcome. The Sikhs who come to Lahore, how many of them go and visit Sai Mia Mir's place? He's the one who laid the first foundation stone of Golden Temple. Guru Arjan Dev invited him as an act of secularity and gave him asked him, can you please place the first foundation stone? So the Sikhs community, if you ask them, majority of them would not even know Sai Mia Mir's mausoleum is in Lahore.
So basically, before I open the floor to questions, I'm sure you have lots of questions. What's next on your bucket list? You've done these 2 amazing books. What's next?
That's a billion-dollar question. I know. I have come to a point in my life after 25 years of career in the corporate world where I used to make 2-year plans, 1-year plans, 5-year plans, 10-year plans, which all used to fail, right, in the corporate world. But I realized in this realm that I am walking in, I don't think about the evening, I don't think about the tomorrow, because I don't know what's there, right? All I know right now is I've done these 2 works, I'm committed, and this tells you how much of hunger is there in the world. I get back to Singapore only on 30th May, because I'm just speaking around the world in there, right? That's the hunger in the minds of the people, right? I will figure out my life. I reach Singapore, which is my home base, on 30th of May, then I'm going on 2nd, and here's the potential of taking this to a more secular place. Royal Geographic Society of Hong Kong has invited me the first week of June. I'll speak there. I'll figure out my life after that. I've realized that if you think too much, nothing happens. If you don't think, such things happen.
So I have a few more questions, but I won't be so selfish. I think let's open the floor because then we'll give a good 20 minutes to the audience and then we can do some wrap up. So is there a mic available? And please keep it to questions. This is a very emotional subject, and so Amerdeep actually requested me to request you to, if you could just keep it to questions only. And appreciation. Over there, please. Is there a mic?
Now, can we have lights on, please?
Over there, आपके साथ ही.
Can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hold it closer to your mouth?
Yeah, welcome again to Lahore. It's a pleasure to have you.
Can we just have that thing a bit louder? Yeah.
Up better?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, it's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome
Thank you.
again. You mentioned a very important point, which was that how do we document our history? I mean, you went on this journey because your father instilled some values. You were interested and you came to a point. But unfortunately, there's not many people like you around. In your discussions, or have you had any thoughts on how do we reach that critical mass where more people are interested in documenting this from both India and Pakistan?
Well, I say this openly in many of my forums around the world. I say this, and I alluded to this earlier also. I say this, I'll come to the how we document it later on. But I hope my works inspire a Muslim to get up and do the same thing in East Punjab. I hope it inspires a Hindu to get up and do the same thing in Pakistan. I hope it inspires a Jain to get up and do the same thing. You know, the outcome of this whole partition has been, we've forgotten the Jain community had a very large footprint out here either. They don't get visas to come here. Sikhs still get. Hindus have started getting also to go for some religious tourism. But where do Jains exist, right? So first and foremost, we need to start owning and documenting. The issue is that the loss across this entire subcontinent is of such a large magnitude. Just from a Sikh legacy perspective, it's my gut estimate that 70% is finished, right? So you are running against time. You've got to, it's like I say this, I've got torpedoes attached behind me. They're making me run at a very fast pace. But someone asked me the other day, Amerdeep, why are you so impatient? I said, why should I not be impatient? 7 decades have passed by. Where have we done such works? All that we're showing is the arranged, the maintained sites and maintained places. So one is, it has to have a very high source of motivation. Now, I don't think academic circles or institutions where academic work happens, and I'm not trying to disrupt that. That's happening at its own pace. But right now you're facing, and again, you're going on a tide which is against you, right? So you have to have people with very, very high level of motivation to take these works forward. The biggest problem is it requires sacrifice. I've sacrificed my career, right? I'm out of job for 3 years. I think if I go back to the corporate world, they see me as an author. They don't see me as what I did for 25 years in the finance industry, right? So I don't know the answer to your question, but all I can say is we need islands of people getting up and creating a movement whereby we start developing trust for each other. Amerdeep can be seen as a resource, and I should see you as a resource to collectively start understanding our collective legacy and not just in small compartments. If we can do that, I think we can create a movement.
Thank you. A lady, please. So you started by saying that, we don't know very much about the Sikh history in Pakistan. The political history is missing from our books, etc. And that's very true. I mean, those of us who know a little bit only know, like in my family, I know because our family were part of the... With you that UNESCO has recently partnered with World Bank, and they're working on 2 sites, Sikh sites, Darbar Rorisa and Nankana Sahib.
Can are you engaged with them?
I'm engaged. Yes.
Can I request,
Sure.
we need consultants like me to be a part of that. I'll tell you why. Because you will go to the people who have already been destroying, and there's not a single example that I see in this country or in East Punjab that has been done rightly. Right? So we need to bring this together. If there's a willingness to do it, if there's a way forward, we need to bring islands who think rightly, because our intent is to preserve it, right? So it may not be me, but islands like us, right? I have
think,
2 slides to show.
yes, we have a couple of minutes. So can he finish? He just has a couple more slides to
Just
show.
2 slides. One
question, ma'am, please. Excuse me, sir.
Where are you?
I am here, sir. At your right side.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I am a student of University of Lahore. I am from Peshawar. My name is Amjad Mas. As you know that we are in minority. I am also Pathan. In Pakistan, everywhere you go, there comes the question of ethnicity. There is racism. Everywhere, like your identity is not considered as a Pakistani. But wherever you go, you are considered to be, always your secondary identity is considered. You are Pathan, you are Sikh, you are Punjabi, you are Indian, you are this, you are from Peshawar, you are from Chitral. So the question is that, as you said, that partition is not the solution of all those problems, as there were many problems created with partition. But what is the alternate solution for the partition? If there is ethnicity on the peak, if there is racism on the peak, and how can you understand the layman? How can you realize the layman, common people, that how to change your perception of rebellion? There is only one solution for the layman or the common people, that they go for rebellion.
I don't know the question. I couldn't really get. All I could understand, how do you justify partition or something like that?
No, as you said that, as a partition, along with partition, there are many problems. The culture has been destroyed, the language has been destroyed, everything has been dispersed. But, as you are Sikh, the revolt is going on in India against Hindus.
Right. You know what? I think I'm going to stay away from questions of India, Pakistan. I'm a Singaporean. Treat me as a Singaporean. I have done something for Pakistan. Let's treat it with a positive light. There's a problem. Let's try and find a solution to that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So I just want to move on. Look, I'm walking a razor's edge out here. Every statement I make, there's an India angle, there's a Pakistan angle. My work has got nothing to do with India and Pakistan. My loyalty lies with what is it that we can do with the heritage. That's what I'm concerned about, right? I want to actually show just 2 slides to bring this to an end, if you allow me. Look, this is the problem. I was standing in Jambar, a village, at the top of a Gurdwara and looking down. This is an abandoned Gurdwara. Historical texts tell us Jambar had a very, very significant Sikh population as a historical Gurdwara. And I'm standing at this top of the Gurdwara in January 2017, and I'm photographing the Gurdwara, and this entire village has crowded below. And they're looking up and say, "Oh, dekho Sardar ji aaye ne." And I'm looking down at them and I say, "No, what? Look at the unfortunate turn of events. That once an entirely a Sikh village, today one Sikh in the village is a curiosity, right? So that's where we stand. Right? The coins have turned. But I want to end with this slide. We've got to end with positivity. We've got to have hope, right? At Basali, this old man, don't look at my smile, look at that old man's smile. And I'm walking and he comes and he gives me a hug. He says, "Aaj tenu vekh ke Jinder di yaad aa gayi." Looking at you today, I can remember Jinder, who was his childhood friend. This emotion exists and we need to capitalize on this emotion, right? This is the story we want to tell. And on the right hand side, Baba Bulle Shah's place, right? I went there in 2017, I went there in 2014, 2017. I went just recently, just 20 days back, and I'm just going to talk about this one question that came here, how do you feel as a Sikh, right? But we went down to Ganda Singhwala, and I stood there to see the parade, and I was stopped because I was looked at as Sikh. The security guy would not allow me to go in front. My wife was allowed to go because she didn't look like one, right? So she went through. I just smiled and I just stood there. But what he didn't realize was I became a hit because the whole village was there taking selfies with me. It was better than watching that parade of hatred, right? So anyhow, when I'm coming to Baba Bulle Shah's place, and I'm walking in there, and this man comes in and he's limping. His one leg is short, right? And he's limping. He says, "Sardarji, ji ayanu." Sardarji, welcome. And before I could turn around, someone clicked. Salman is sitting here. Salman, he's here. Raise your hand. He was with me. Some illusion. I'm telling you some. I said, don't bother about how the good was made, right? He's a part of the making of the good, right? So he clicked this photograph, and I thank you for that. Because this man came and he picked up the petals from a shop that was not his, and he showers it on me. That's the positivity, right? So let's look how we have to move forward.
Thank you so much. And okay, I can't say no.
ਮਜ਼ੀਦ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਮੈਂ ਮਜ਼ਾਈਆ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਇਫ ਯੂ ਡੋਂਟ ਮਾਈਂਡ
Please.
ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਮਸਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਨਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਦੋ ਜੋਕਸ ਨੇ ਮੇਨਲੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਹੈਗਾ ਪਠਾਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜੋਕ ਨੇ
She's holding her head, huh? She's holding her head. She's holding her.
ਲੇਕਿਨ ਮਾਸ਼ਾਅੱਲਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਭਰਾਵਾਂ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜੋਕ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
12 ਵਜ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਇਹਦਾ ਕੀ ਮਸਲਾ ਹੈ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਈ ਕਿ 12 ਦਾ ਕੀ ਮਸਲਾ ਹੈ
When your watch goes to 12 o'clock, don't come near me, I think that's what it means, right? If I start telling you the history of it, maybe we can talk separately, but I'll allude to it. You know, that tradition came to in existence when in the invasion of Ahmad Shah Abdali and Nadir Shah, the Sikhs were guerrillas out here in Punjab, right? They were doing, when they were taking away the loots from the Indian subcontinent, everyone was getting looted. It was not about Islamic thing, right? It was one Islamic rule against the other. So they were looting and they was to go back. These guerrillas would appear in the Punjab, in the 5 rivers out here and deprive them of the loot, the women and so on and so forth. Most of the attacks would happen in the midnight. So 12 ही बज जाते सीगे, पागल हो जाते सीगे.
Thank you so much, Amerdeep. We are just out of time now, and thank you. Fascinating talk, and wish you all the best of luck.
Two-part question.
Sorry.
One is for everyone, and the second one is particularly for Mr. Wells.
Sorry, is someone asking a question?
How do you make characters realistic? How do you make sure they're not a parody of a stereotype?
Sorry, I don't know where the mic is.
Okay, stop. We have 2 questions at the same time. So,
एक तो ये कि
So who's asking this question?
this is
okay, okay.
Nadia.
Yes, sorry. हाँ जी.
एक तो ये कि you know, like I don't know if you read Benedict Anderson's Imagined Communities. With us in Pakistan in 1989 was the last year that we were taught the history of South Asia and India properly as it was meant to be taught. And after that, the history begins from this narrative. Okay, sorry. The history begins from this Pak studies, which is this sort of glorification of how Pakistan was created, etc. तो ये तो दूर की बात छोड़ें जो आप कह रहे हैं, जो मोटी चीज़ें थी, you know, मुगल एम्पायर की और उसके पहले की भी, वो भी सब हमारे वो करिकुला से हटा दी गई. तो पहले तो it is such a crisis of identity in Pakistan that we have been robbed of a narrative, of our identity, and there is very little hope that I see for future generations. I mean, how does one get books like this in the curricula? How does one get children and young people to read more books like this? That was my first sort of appeal to everyone. But the second question was, the room that you mentioned that needs to be preserved. I don't see the Pakistan government doling out money to preserve that room. But would it be possible for invested, you know, emotionally invested people in the Sikh community abroad to patronize such places if the government of Punjab, of Pakistan allows that money to come in, and because I don't.
All right. So I get.
As a
Yeah. So the first part of it, I'll just give a comment on this. I'm not going to get into the politics of this, what's happening. I can't influence that, what's happening out here. But I can tell you what the partition has done is, if I see it from my community's lens, you know, we talk about this two-nation theory and this and that. I always, after these works, I started thinking, we were the cucumber in the sandwich. It's just eaten up, right? Cucumber in the sandwich, literally. My community's mindset is also similar. They've forgotten. Not consciously they've been drilled into it, but because their umbilical cords are severed, they've forgotten about it, right? So this problem is on both sides. I don't know the solution of this problem, right? But the islands of hope can hopefully start creating some awareness, right? The second question was about whether the Sikh community would do it. Look, Let's start this way. Let's not start putting the blame out here. A problem's happened. Human crisis has happened, right? People have moved out. I said this earlier. At the time of partition, there was only the pact between India and Pakistan for the Sikh community was Nankana Sahib will be left operational, right? Today, more than 24 historical gurdwaras are operational in Pakistan. And I say thank you, you maintained it, right? So there is an intent. Because if you move from 1 to 24, it may have taken 7 decades, but in the last 20 years, the movement has been faster. There is an intent. The question is that intent being utilized and implemented in the right direction? No, it's not a question of just money. Money is, Sikh community is throwing in money. My Sikh community is party to the destruction, right? Why? I've said this, in East Punjab, we've destroyed ourselves, all our historical frescoes, everything, because we've renovated everything. ETPB needs to get up. It's Pakistan's heritage. It belongs to the Sikh community. If you can protect it in the way it was left, that's what it should be done, right? So today, if you give contracts to the Sikh community that's coming in, right now, Dera Sahib Gurdwara you go to, and it pains me when I see the Dera Sahib Gurdwara between 2014 and right now what it is, it's destroyed, given a contract to the Sikh organizations from East Punjab who have done that. I question who in ETPP is doing that. Can you not put rules of engagement? It is their heritage. They have the muscle power, they are bringing the money, but yet the Pakistan government can put a rules of engagement. You will only do the following things. And under that, bring your money and then maintain it. Yes, it can be done and it should be done like that. That's the game change I want to do. Because right now, what is it that stops me to say, I will engage Aga Khan Trust, which has proven itself to maintain the heritage? Why shouldn't we bring in Aga Khan Trust and say Sikh organizations, bring in the money, but it will be done under gambit of Aga Khan Trust or some other respectable organization, because it's about heritage. It's not about a place of worship. We've got to change our mindset. And therefore, I choose to steer away from just a Nankana Sahib, Punjab Sahib narrative.
Another lady here, please. Or does anyone have a mic? There's a lady
Hello.
here. And then... Chale, aap start kar lein. If you have the mic, please.
I have the concern that why the smaller communities are being disappeared in subcontinent, especially the Pakistan in respect of the India. And the second part I have about this, can UNESCO play an important part in this regard?
Okay, the first question, I think I'm not an expert to answer about that, why the smaller communities are actually disappearing. What I can say is, the world that we live in today is gravitating towards singularity, right? I'm sitting in Pakistan and sitting in Lahore, right? I should be speaking in Punjabi, right? You all should be talking to me in Punjabi. But we all are, the world is gravitating towards one form. I am not wearing Punjabi dress, I wear pant and shirt. We are all getting towards that. Communities, the way that we are going to be, all will evolve towards one singularity. So that you and I can't change. We can only try and hold on to our small pockets. Second question was about UNESCO, right? Look, and I think that question is more from the Sikh heritage point of view, right? I've thought about it many times and it scares me. You know why? Because the Sikh community, Guru Nanak was born in 1469. It's the time of the fifth Guru, when I said Saeed Mia Mir was brought to put the foundation stone of Golden Temple. That was somewhere around 1600s, 1500 or something, 1500s, right? That the Golden Temple was made. Sikhs did not build anything major till that time. Golden Temple, it was not yet golden that time. It was done in Ranjit Singh's time. We move forward. Sikhs went through a tumultuous period, right? Tumultuous period. There was a reward on a Sikh's head in this Punjab at the time of 1700s onwards. Invasions, 8 times Ahmad Shah Abdali came, and his 8th invasion, he bombarded the Golden Temple. What I'm saying is, Nadir Shah came in. Punjab went through a lot. It went through. It's when Ranjit Singh came to power, and the first Punjabi after 1,000 years or so rose after Porus, and he formed this kingdom. That time, Sikh heritage started developing. What is that? 1799. So Sikh heritage technically only started from 1800. Now put the time scale on that. It is barely 200 years old. UNESCO, when it sits in, the director sits there and has to give the funds, He'll say, 1,000-year-old Buddhist stupas there, and you've got a 200-year-old heritage out here, the money's going to go there. So the question is, if we don't protect it right now, whatever the last remains, 500 years from now, they'll be willing to put money, but you won't have the sites.
The lady,
Sorry, one of them, let the mic come here. We'll take that up.
Hi. It's a very simple, basic question. I just want to know, how was the experience of traveling through Pakistan as a Sikh beyond Punjab, because you've gone as far as KPK? Did you travel with security detail? Did you need special permissions? Thank you.
Do you understand Punjabi?
Yes, I do. I'm fluent.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੁੜ ਖਾਓ ਗੁੜ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਬਣਿਆ ਛੱਡ ਦੋ
Niche auntie बैठी.
Okay, I'll give you an answer to that. I didn't want to. How is it traveling as a Sikh across Pakistan? I charge 10 rupees for myself, so people who want to take photographs with me now. And I tell them, because the demand is so high, I have to put a control mechanism on it, right? So I say, donate that 10 rupees to someone who needs it, right? But you will give me 10 rupees on my account and donate to someone. Does that answer your question?
Auntie, one question, Auntie. इनको mic दे दीजिए.
Rina, I have a question
please
over
the mic
here. I have a mic as well.
Okay.
The mic here.
Can I go or can I?
So she says आपने कहीं जाना है? Okay. She just.
Give the mic.
You'll be next, Rina. You'll be next.
Full thing. We have these days we are very looking very much like Sikhs around here. There are so many people with beards, and it's very difficult to find a Sikh among us. Only your turban keeps you looking different from us. Hopefully, eventually, we will understand each other.
Hopefully. But it's a big problem. I see, I'm looking at this hall. There's not another Sikh sitting here. It's not that Sikhs are not here in this country. Yeah, I've invited many. Does that tell you the problem that we are dealing with?
Yes.
I'm sitting in Lahore and I've invited so many Sikhs to come and hear this because it's about your heritage. Doesn't interest anyone.
Yeah.
Bina?
We speak the same language. It started like a religion, not like a warrior type. So there's hope always.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Bina?
Okay. First of all, I wanted to say that.
Can I see well? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That it's amazing to discuss. And I think the book sounds really interesting, and for me it's been amazing learning and very inspiring. So the question I have is that the places you visited, were you able to document them visually, the frescoes, the buildings? Did you make an archive or something which we can use to see if we can't travel to all those places?
My photographs I've traveled to 126 cities and villages across Pakistan. My photographs are more than about 12,000. When you publish books like these, which are 3 kgs each, they have about 1,200 pictures. So it's a very visual. I mean, when you open this book, every page your eyes will be feasted with some pictures and frescoes which are literally finished, right? So to answer your question, these are very visual intensive works. If you want, after the session you can come and open them up here, but Liberty Books has both these books. It's been very hard to get these books across into Pakistan. I didn't realize when I published them, I want to publish this in Pakistan also, but I did the first publication out of Delhi, and I didn't realize that how tough it is to get books across. But there are some books with Liberty Books you can see, and you can open them up here. They are a visual treat.
But I wanted to ask you was that sometimes in books you publish only some photographs.
Absolutely, I said 1,200.
Is there a website where there'd be, you can go into more detail? Because when monuments are being lost, the only way of preserving it, when you can't, preserve them so fast physically, is to document each fresco. Is there some, everything?
I would love to get into all those evolutionary stages of these works, but right now I'm a one-man show who's running for 3.5 years without bread and butter, walking across like a maverick across Pakistan. Somehow God's making it happen. Food is cheap out here.
He's also possessed. And also, Amerdeep, I think you mentioned to me, and I'm not sure if you told the audience, that you've self-published. This is not, I mean, you collaborated with a publisher in India, but you basically self-published.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, someone asked me, what's the hurry with you in your life, right? I said, why should I not be impatient, you know? I said that earlier. Because when I did these works, I'm a man from finance industry. I've spent 25 years in the corporate world. I can understand business problems, right? But this is not about a business. It's about doing work. Most of the authors struggle in the publishing industry. I can teach people how to publish, right? But the reality is, when I went into publishing houses, I realized everyone's kicking me around because they don't know me as an author. You need to actually have a brand. And so I got kicked around. I didn't have the stamina. 20 days of going to publishers in Delhi, and I said, forget it. I'm going to find a way to do this myself. Thanks God, it's been done.
That's fantastic.
Okay, so regarding your comment on UNESCO's engagement for preservation of Sikh heritage in Pakistan, I just have good news to share with you that UNESCO has recently partnered with World Bank and they're working on two sites, Sikh sites, Darbar Rodi Sahib and Nankana Sahib.
Can are you engaged with them?
I'm engaged. Yes.
Can I request?
Sure.
We need consultants like me to be a part of that. I'll tell you why. Because you will go to the people who have already been destroying, and there's not a single example that I see in this country or in East Punjab that has been done rightly. Right? So we need to bring this together. If there's a willingness to do it, if there's a way forward, we need to bring islands who think rightly, because our intent is to preserve it, right? So it may not be me, but islands like us, right? I have 2 slides to show.
Yes, we have a couple of minutes. So can he finish? He just has a couple more slides to show.
Just 2 slides. One
question, ma'am, please. Excuse me.
Where are you?
I am here, sir. At your right side.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I am a student of University of Lahore. I am from Peshawar. My name is Amerdeep. As you know that we are in minority. I am also Pathan. In Pakistan, everywhere you go, there comes the question of ethnicity. There is racism. Everywhere, like your identity is not considered as a Pakistani, but wherever you go, you are considered to be, always your secondary identity is considered. You are Pathan, you are Sikh, you are Punjabi, you are Indian, you are this, you are from Peshawar, you are from Chitral. So the question is that, as you said, that partition is not the solution of all those problems, as there were many problems created with partition. But what is the alternate solution for the partition? If there is ethnicity on the peak, if there is racism on the peak, and how can you understand the layman? How can you realize the layman, common people, that how to change your perception of rebellion? There is only one solution for the layman or the common people, that they go for rebellion.
I don't know the question. I couldn't really get. All I could understand, how do you justify partition or something like that?
No, as you said that, as a partition, along with partition, there were many problems. The culture has been destroyed, the language has been destroyed, everything has been dispersed. But, as you are saying, the revolt is going on in India against the Hindus.
Right, you know what, I think I'm going to stay away from questions of India, Pakistan. I'm a Singaporean, treat me as a Singaporean. I've done something for Pakistan. Let's treat it with a positive light. There's a problem. Let's try and find a solution to that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to move on. Look, I'm walking a razor's edge out here. Every statement I make, there's an India angle, there's a Pakistan angle. My work has got nothing to do with India and Pakistan. My loyalty lies with what is it that we can do with the heritage. That's what I'm concerned about, right? I want to actually show just 2 slides to bring this to an end, if you allow me. Look, this is the problem. I was standing in Jambar, a village, at the top of a Gurdwara and looking down. This is an abandoned Gurdwara. Historical texts tell us Jambar had a very, very significant Sikh population as a historical Gurdwara. And I'm standing at this top of the Gurdwara in January 2017, and I'm photographing the Gurdwara, and this entire village has crowded below. And they're looking up and say, oh, dekho Sardar ji aine. And I'm looking down at them and I say, you know what, look at the unfortunate turn of events, that once an entirely a Sikh village, today one Sikh in the village is a curiosity, right? So that's where we stand. Right? The coins have turned. But I want to end with this slide. We've got to end with positivity. We've got to have hope, right? at Basali, this old man, don't look at my smile, look at that old man's smile. And I'm walking and he comes and he gives me a hug. He says, Aaj tenu vek ke Jinder di yaad aa gayi. Looking at you today, I can remember Jinder, who was his childhood friend. This emotion exists and we need to capitalize on this emotion, right? This is the story we want to tell. And on the right hand side, Baba Bulle Shah's place, right? I went there in 2017, I went there in 2014, 2017. I went just recently, just 20 days back, and I'm just going to talk about this one question that came here, how do you feel as a Sikh, right? But we went down to Ganda Singh Wala, and I stood there to see the parade, and I was stopped because I was looked at as Sikh. The security guy would not allow me to go in front. My wife was allowed to go because she didn't look like one, right? So she went through. I just smiled and I just stood there. But what he didn't realize was I became a hit because the whole village was there taking selfies with me. It was better than watching that parade of hatred, right? So anyhow, when I'm coming to Baba Bulle Shah's place, and I'm walking in there, and this man comes in, and he's limping. His one leg is short, right? And he's limping. He says, Sardarji, ji ayanu. Sardarji, welcome. And before I could turn around, someone clicked. Salman is sitting here. Salman, he's here. Raise your hand. He was with me. Some illusion. I'm telling you some. I said, don't bother about how the good was made, right? He's a part of the making of the good, right? So he clicked this photograph, and I thank you for that, because this man came and he picked up the petals from a shop that was not his, and he showers it on me. That's the positivity. Right? So let's look how we have to move forward.
Thank you so much. And okay, I can't say no.
Madiz saab, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਮੈਂ ਮਜ਼ਾਈਆ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ, if you don't mind.
Please.
ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਮੁਸਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਨਾ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਦੋ ਜੋਕਸ ਨੇ ਮੇਨਲੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀਆਂ ਦੇ। ਇੱਕ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦਾ, ਇੱਕ ਹੈਗਾ ਪਠਾਨਾਂ ਦਾ। ਦੋਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜੋਕ ਨੇ।
She's holding her head, huh? She's holding her head. She's holding her.
लेकिन माशाल्लाह साढ़े भरावां सिक्खां दा ज़्यादा जोक होंदे ने।
हाँ जी।
12 बज गए ने। ਇਹਦਾ ਕੀ ਮਸਲਾ ਹੈ? ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਈ ਕਿ 12 ਦਾ ਕੀ ਮਸਲਾ ਹੈ?
When your watch goes to 12 o'clock, don't come near me, I think that's what it means, right? If I start telling you the history of it, maybe we can talk separately, but I'll allude to it. That tradition came in existence when in the invasion of Ahmad Shah Abdali and Nadir Shah, the Sikhs were guerrillas out here in Punjab, right? When they were taking away the loots from the Indian subcontinent, everyone was getting looted. It was not about Islamic thing, right? It was one Islamic rule against the other. So they were looting and they used to go back. These guerrillas would appear in the Punjab, in the 5 rivers out here, and deprive them of the loot, the women, and so on and so forth. Most of the attacks would happen in the midnight. So 12 ही बज जाते सीगे, पागल हो जाते सीगे.
Thank you so much, Amerdeep. We are just out of time now, and thank you. Fascinating talk, and wish you all the best of luck.